All right, so I had an idea here in Excel. What if I had some sort of little helper so that when I'm typing out a formula, I could say sum up, and maybe I could even select a range of numbers. Maybe I don't remember what the function is or how to pass arguments to it, and I just want something else to do it for me. What if I could invoke a keyboard shortcut, have this sent out to ChatGPT, and get back a response basically that inserts right into this cell? So that's what I want to look at today. This is a lot like some of the other helpers I've built, for example, at the command line to do something like list big files. And then I can invoke a shortcut here and it'll spit back a command. I can use that then to run it and find big files. Same idea, except today in Excel. All right, so I'm going to model this after the same thing I've done in the dev tools. In other words, I'm going to come over to Keyboard Maestro here. And under the Brave browser, I have a macro set up called Ask OpenAI. I'm going to copy that. I also have a group of macros here for Microsoft Excel. So it'll only apply to Excel then. I'm going to paste that in here. So I have a keyboard shortcut set up to invoke a little helper that'll do very much the same thing in Excel that I'm doing right now in the Chrome Dev Tools, very much like what you saw with the command line as well. So essentially, this is going to invoke a script down below here. And this script will call into a Python script. So I'll need to create a new Python script. I'll call this one excel.py. So it's going to be in an ask-openai folder, and then it's excel.py. Basically, it just has a prompt that's specific to Excel to give the instructions on how to help me. So then I'm going to go ahead and invoke that, run that Python script, pass whatever I've typed here inside of Excel, and then I'll get back a response and I'll have that pasted in then over the top of whatever I've typed here inside of Excel. And so I'll get my help that way. So yeah, it actually starts out with Command A, which selects everything. It then copies it and then passes it off to this script. So if I want to run this, I'm going to need to create that excel.py. And to do that, just quickly come over to where I have the DevTools version, copy this and paste it. I'll call this one excel.py, just like I named it over in Keyboard Maestro. And now the bulk of this is going to be changing the prompt here. So instead of a Chrome Tools, DevTools expert, I'm going to do an Excel expert, maybe an Excel formula expert. And then the users working in we'll do the users working in Excel. They need help completing a formula or something else to do with Excel. So whatever they have typed into and then it's instead of the console's command line, and whatever they have typed into the Excel cell will be provided to you. Yep, they might also have a freeform question, that's fine, i.e. in a comment. Nope, we'll just do, there's not going to be a comment for an Excel formula, at least I'm not aware of a comment mechanism inside of Excel formula. So we'll just drop that. Basically say they might also have a freeform question included. All right, so respond with a single valid JavaScript command line. So now it would be respond with a single valid Excel formula maybe. But I might want to loosen that up and allow something beyond a formula. Let's just start with the formula for now. Their cell contents will be replaced with your response so they can review it and then execute it. So they can review it and then execute it, maybe use it. Yeah, I think that's fine. No explanations, no markdown with backtick. Same thing here. I think that applies with Excel as well. And an example of a command line, an example of a question could be, do something like, how do I add up these numbers? And we'll do A1 to A10 as a range, just like as if I had done that over in Excel here. Copy this as if I had typed that right here. In fact, why don't we just take up what I had right here, copy this. We'll provide this as the example. All right, so that's the question, and a valid response would be, well, let's see here. Just make a slight change to this to get this to work. We'll do a sum here, finish that. So this would be a valid response then for that situation. Paste that in there. And make sure to include the equal sign. Yeah, we'll need that because otherwise if we strip that out, then it won't be a formula. Make sure to include the equal sign if you are suggesting a formula. All right, so I think that looks good. That is the system message here. And then we'll pass off, just like in every context, we'll pass off whatever was typed into the cell, get back a response, etc. So I think that's the bulk of what we need here. Oh, I might actually log here to a different file. I like to log what I'm doing with this just in case I have any trouble, or sometimes to come up with examples that I've used in the past. And now let's come over to Excel. Everything should be wired up. So if I do something like sum these numbers, select a range. Now if I invoke my shortcut, did it work? That's interesting. It's not working. For whatever reason, things don't seem to be working here when I'm inside of a cell. I'm wondering if it'll work if I come up to the formula bar up here. If I do Control Shift Command and B, my shortcut, okay, it selects that there, and will it replace it? There you go. It replaces it with sum, so that looks good. So that's working up here in the formula bar. Not certain why it's not working in the cell yet. I'll get to that in a moment. For now, what I think I want to do to test this out, instead of a keyboard shortcut, I'm going to open up Stream Deck here, and I'll create a key for this. So I'll invoke a keyboard maestro macro. I'll just call this Ask OpenAI. So now I can select a macro, grab that new macro that I just set up here. And now let me come back over to Excel here. And we'll do something like some numbers here, grab a range. And now, just want to make sure my focus is right inside of here. If I do Command A, you can see it selects everything. So I'm sitting with my cursor inside of the cell. Let's see if I hit my button here, what happens now. Wow, man, that's actually just not going to work. Not certain why, but apparently Keyboard Maestro won't allow me to, or apparently the macro in Keyboard Maestro is not working inside the cell. It must have something to do with the keystroke here and trying to simulate that, which is odd. It's like it loses the context whenever I run my macro. I'll look into that later. I think for now, this gets done what I wanted to do, which is to get help here in Excel. And if I had to use the formula bar, not the end of the world. In the meantime, let's take a look at how we can use this. So up in the formula bar, maybe I don't know how to do, how do I average cells together and select a range again, and select a range again, maybe a bigger range. All right, so I'm up inside of the address bar now. I'm gonna hit my keyboard shortcut. There you go, selects it, copies it, asks, and there you go, it turns it into a formula. Of course, these are trivial examples, but if you didn't remember how to compute something like, let's see if we can grab the second and third character. Let's do this, actually, we'll select the cell first here, vehicles. All right, and we'll say, grab the characters in this string in positions 2 and 3. So I want the second and third characters. Maybe I'm trying to grab a subset of a string here inside of a cell, and I want a formula to do that. All right, let's see what happens here. Select that, ask, get back a response, and let's just hit return here. There you go, it grabs the second and the third character. So I think that's a good introduction to what this can do. Of course, you have stuff like Copilot Pro that you can pay for that's bundled right inside of Excel that can see your spreadsheet and make recommendations to you. You can ask questions, you have a whole chat panel. That's great if you have that. I just thought it might be interesting to set this up here to use OpenAI's API, because now that I have that API set up and I've got a keyboard shortcut for this, I could easily route my questions to Llama locally instead of needing to use OpenAI or Anthropic. I could actually use a local model to ask questions and get back help in terms of building up formulas inside of Excel. So let me know in the comments what you think about this. Is this something that could be useful? Do you see any modifications I could make to it without building a plugin to Excel itself? In other words, just doing this all outside of Excel in terms of a Keyboard Maestro macro. Is there something I could do to make this better? I was even thinking it might be nice to do something like copy some of the cell contents. I don't know how I would do that. I wonder if I could get a simple plugin in Excel set up where I could have multiple selections. I could select my question cell. Then I could also have another selection that's disjoint of the cells that the contents of which I'm interested in. If I could copy those contents, maybe also the cell ranges using a simple Excel plugin or Excel macro and VB, would I then be able to provide some context when it comes to building up the response for a given formula? Like, could I do something like make me a pivot table for this little table? I think I found a workaround for that bug with the cell selection. So if I try to do Command A, it works manually, but it doesn't work from the macro over here. If, however, I switch this to Control A, which does the same thing, you can see here's Control A in Excel. It also selects everything, which is all I need. So now when I invoke the shortcut using Control A instead, now it seems to be working. Let's try something else here, some of these, and let's just pick these right here. And now I'm gonna, without doing anything else here, I wanna see if this works here. All right, this works in this case here. It selects it and gives me back some. So that seems to be working now in terms of a possible workaround for being able to select the cell contents to not need to then go up to the formula bar. So enjoy.